sweet. Do we clean out the syringes, or are they still here?
They're still there. Good. No, those ain't
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right here.
There's dirty laundry and all sorts of stuff. It's always good.
Dirty's relative.
Well,
I was like, oh no, that's how I got him.
no, I agree with you 100%.
I'm gonna, of course, Matthew Balcon's the first one in.
Hey, Matt.
So let's get him in. Oops, I gotta turn it. All right, so we got Maddie in the house.
What's up, Matt?
Yeah.
Matthew Balcom.
Yeah, our dude. Oh yeah, but what's happening today, guys?
Well, originally on the calendar, the goal was to have CT Fletcher on the show, but unfortunately, due to some scheduling conflicts, we're going to have to postpone that to a later date.
What
So-
Josh is saying is that we just felt we were too big, so we might as well just.
Yeah, it was our scheduling that screwed everything up. We were really busy, and we weren't able to fit him in.
That's right.
Exactly. No, I think CT's going through, I think everyone knows he's had some heart issues and some other stuff, some health issues in the past year or two. And he had a couple of things pop up that, he needed to attend to, which we completely understand. And we hope he is back well very, very quickly. And whenever he is there, we'll either have him here on Super Friends series, or we'll get him onto the Power Project. One way or the other. It'll be great to hear from CT. It always is. I mean, I don't know if there's a more motivational guy, for pound, dollar for dollar for me. If there's anything that I need to kind of get a little jacked up for, getting a little CT video in there, or just hearing a couple of his words, or thinking about his path, his journey. That's always something that can always get you to get your ass off the chair into the gym, or whatever it is that your challenge might be for that day. So wish him the best, and can't wait to get to chat with him very soon.
No, sir, go ahead.
Do you remember the first CT Fletcher video you saw? Like right when he burst onto the scene and just exploded. Do you remember what the first video was?
They all, for me, they all kind of like blur in, but I just remember it's like flashing of him doing like bicep curls, and just like him talking about, get in the fucking gym one more, just all this other, it's like him talking, it's him working out, it's him working with people. And I really remember him just like keep putting quarters on like someone who was benching. Everyone had their shirt off, of course. And just benching and then working all the way up till there was no more room on the bar, just putting quarters on, and just keep handing the bar off to the guy, whether he dropped it on his face or not. He'd put another quarter on, then he would take it off. So he went all the way up and then all the way back down. And I think the video was like 20 minutes, and the guy was just benching the whole time. And he could barely, he couldn't even like push himself to kind of stand up. And CT was just in his ear the whole time. So it was just like, wow, like that's commitment on both sides, really, and I mean, it's just, that's that next level that very few people are willing to kind of click into, and he's able to kind of bring people along and find some new levels and some new things that maybe you weren't ready or willing to kind of explore. So again, I don't know if that's one video or a couple of videos, but I mean, they're all in there. I mean, just the dude's voice, his inflection, how he says things. Like I always appreciate someone who's extremely direct. And I mean, there's nobody more, like he doesn't waste of anything, a letter, a vowel, a sound in what he's trying to get across. And he does so brutally honest and just right there. And it's just like, you can't, he doesn't even give you any wiggle room. It's either yes or no. There's no in between. It's just go or get the fuck out of the way. And I mean, it's always something that I've always appreciated about him, is just how brutally honest the guy is. And I mean, and I think that's what makes him so motivational and so great, is that he, he's willing to be that honest and that brutal with himself and anyone that he's talking to, and, anybody who listens.
Yeah, I can't remember the first, CT Fletcher video, but he was definitely the first like YouTuber or whatever you want to call it, like fitness channel that I followed.
Yeah.
And I talked about it on technically today's podcast. I guess in the middle of the night, I would like repeat shit that he would say in my sleep. And so my wife would be like, "You're very motivational in the middle of the night." And I'm like, "What did I say?" And she's just like, "You're just like saying like, come on, one more rep, let's go." And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, sick. Like, so I don't know. I never looked into why I talk so much in my sleep. but
Well,
apparently
I
do.
just think that speaks to just the simplicity and like the brutal honesty and just the easy understanding of his message. I mean, it's something that does hit you at some sort of a
Yeah.
subconscious level, and you just have to kind of move forward with it. You have no choice. You can either ignore it or you just let it consume you.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to get to some of these questions?
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
This is great for both of you guys. So thoughts on Stan working with John Jones?
I think it's awesome. I
Yeah.
think that, I mean, for people who don't know Stan, right? I think everyone understands who Stan is. He's, this bodybuilder, world, pro bodybuilder, world record powerlifter, insane nutrition guy. Very, very, I mean, he's just unbelievable brilliant across the board. But what I think is fabulous, and what he doesn't necessarily always tell people, is when he works with someone, it's not just working out. He's not giving you a program. He's not just giving you a diet. He's that guy who's willing to go through and do all of it with you. When he was working with, excuse me, with Brian and Thor, he flew to Ohio 2 weeks early, set up their Airbnb for them. And some of them, I think Thor was staying in a hotel, went to Costco, bought him a refrigerator, hacked his refrigerator, bought him a rice cooker, started making his meals. So when he landed and he had his water dialed, he had everything kind of lined up, like literally like the vitamin packs, like this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're eating this time, and this time. So he's not the guy who's just going to tell you, here is how you can do this. He's going to be the person that just does it all with you. And he's there every step of the way. And he was there with every step of the way with Thor, with Shaw when he was working with both of them. And I know that's what he's doing with John right now. And I talked to him, I think last week or the week before. And it's impressive at his age that he is getting up as early as he is, working out with one of the most genetically gifted dudes that there is. And I'm going to use the words keep up with in relative terms, but for be a powerlifter and a bodybuilder to go in there and work out with an MMA superstar, that's a whole different ball game. That's a total different arena and everything. So I love the fact that Stan is willing to go that far with everybody. And I know that he is watching everything that he's eating, watching everything that he's drinking, talking to him about habits, being, just going over what it's going to take to be a champion. And I think that Stan is a champion in all aspects of his life. Everything that he's done unbelievably well. He has a plan written out, like a whole notebook worth of everything. So he's very diligent about what he does. And I think that with a guy as talented as John Jones, working with a guy that's as talented as Stan, I mean, sky's the limit. Absolutely. I think it's awesome. And I can't wait to see what John looks like and how he performs. I think it's great. I think it'll be huge for Stan. I think that I know he's already, so in demand. I think that it's going to put him into kind of that next stratosphere of fitness celebrity or whatever we want to kind of call, whatever it is that he's going to end up doing.
To be honest, it's just terrifying. If John Jones wasn't scary enough, just knowing that Stan is behind him and helping him with all these things is just, I mean, it's going to be insane to see what John does. And even with a guy like Stan, it further kind of legitimizes what needs to be done so that MMA fighters can continue to get older and continue to perform well at the highest level. And I think with guys like, and Phil DeRue's done an amazing job of this, is like bringing in a lot of the strength stuff and reassuring guys like, look, like, you're not gonna, if you do this right, you're not gonna hurt your back like your mom probably told you 100 times, but you can actually do some of this stuff and get better and perform well. And with a guy like John Jones, I mean, we're just gonna see some really crazy stuff happen.
Yeah, and have you spoken to him since he started by any chance?
With Stan?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I talked to him. I think he was still in New Mexico or wherever he was. He was with John. I talked to him, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. So.
Got it. I'm just curious, and I mean, you've been on this side as well, but like I'm seeing some of the training footage, and like they have him on that treadmill, and he's going like, I don't know how fast, but he's going very fast.
Yeah.
And all I'm thinking is just like, dude, oh fuck, what if one of these guys, like, what if they push him a little bit too far? So like, because he has such a big name, because he's John Jones.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, as far as I know, I don't know what other MMA athletes Stan has coached, but was he like, oh shit, I better not fuck this up? Or was he just like, sick, this, not the same formula, but like, cool, I have another opportunity to do it again?
Yeah, I think with everything that Stan does, it is very formulaic. And I think for anyone who has worked with super high level athletes, the secret and the sauce is actually to pull them back. You see John Jones doing these sprints and doing all this stuff, and that's probably what they negotiated down to. Because if it was up to John, he probably would be going 10 times as fast with 10 times as much of an incline. So I think what Stan is excellent at is, I don't think he hasn't reinvented the wheel, really. I mean, what is he doing with the vertical diet? It's, protein, rice, and, vegetables, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's, building in good habits and actually just thinking about what is going to make you successful and making a plan and sticking to it and, having very little deviation to it. So when he goes through these things, he's very formulaic. And when he's putting things together, he's really going to consider a lot of things. He's not going to be sprinting John on a day where he's going to go in and spar for 25 minutes,
right?
Because that's going to exhaust him, and et cetera, et cetera. So he's going to have this formulaic plan where you're going to see these little snippets, these highlights of them doing crazy shit just because he's John Jones. But it's going to be extremely well planned, and he's not going to be doing that all the time. So I think that, again, the power of what Stan does is, creates a plan, and establishes, very good habits, repeats them over and over and over again, and very little deviation. And if the deviation needs to be made, it will be made off of something where like, ooh, he doesn't feel so good. Okay, cool. We'll dial this back, or we need to plan for X, Y, and Z. Or if whatever, he goes out and, has a cheat meal, or he needs to go and travel for the UFC to promote whatever, he's going to be very reactive to what's going on in his life and make sure that he dials things up or down according to that. So I think that, Stan has worked with, he's done more diet stuff with a good amount of UFC MMA fighters, but he's also dealt with a lot of football players, baseball players, hockey players, NBA guys. So he understands what the demands of a professional athlete are, and he also understands the pitfalls that professional athletes can very easily fall into. So I think what he does, again, very well is creates things to, catch those negative habits, get them back on track. Mm-hmm. So I don't think he ever goes into something overwhelmed, because he is so diligent about what he does every single day. And I mean, I had the very great privilege to kind of help him out with a couple of projects. And, I got to Vegas at about 7 a.m, and we worked until about 9 p.m. He filled up 4 of these legal pads. And like, we mapped out, I was exhausted. And he, every 2 hours, he's like, okay, Biggs, let's go eat something. I'm like, okay, cool. And we'd eat something. Then it was like, back to work. And then it was, let's eat something, back to work for, 12 hours, 14 hours, whatever it was. It's like, eat something, go for a walk, work, boom. And that was it. It was laser focus. I passed out and he was up at 4:30 in the morning, like, hey man, you want to work out? I'm like, yep.
Yes,
Like,
I do.
I sure do. So, I mean, I don't think he's ever going to walk into anything and be like surprised
Mhm.
because he is ultimately prepared.
Yeah, and so Matthew actually pointed out something very, very good. He has a really good job of he does a really good job of breaking things down and simplifying things.
Yeah.
And then so Josh, like you work with a lot of young athletes. What have you found to be beneficial when trying to keep things simple? Like, how have you been able to keep? I mean, these guys are. I mean, you work with a lot of wrestlers, so they already are familiar with like working hard and stuff. But I'd imagine some of those guys probably want to go over the top as soon as they get here. I see how ambitious they are. I mean, they're here at 4 a.m, so obviously they got something different going on. But like, how have you been able to simplify things for some of these younger athletes?
Honestly, I've pulled a lot of stuff from Stan, like sometimes word for word what Stan has said about like, hey, eat
That's
steaks,
great.
not drink shakes,
Yep.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
or like red meat and rice. Just start with that. And so Stan is actually an excellent example of someone that in his YouTube videos and when we've talked to him here, whenever he's at the gym, he's a great example of someone who's been able to provide like a lot of information that's condensed into just one sentence that for an 18 to 22-year-old college student that is already dealing with school and other jobs, girlfriends, whatever, and they're also super ambitious and they just want to do everything all the time at level 10 intensities, you can give them something that's really concise, really quick, and that'll stick with them so they can remember it, and then they can build off of that later. And I'm sure, Jesse, you've experienced this too. Some people just want that. They just want one sentence that's going to give them an answer.
Mhm.
And sometimes people will take that and they'll come back and they'll say, hey, I looked up what you said and it seems like kind of, there's an asterisk here. And then maybe there's some nuance to explain things a little bit more, but only if that athlete is really interested in learning about that instead of just opening up the fire hose, having them drown with all this information, making it way too complicated for someone.
Triphasic training.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But sometimes it's just, you have to maybe just give them a bottle of water instead of the fire hose. And if they're interested in drinking more, then you just allow them to chase that on their own and you can help them when they're ready for it. But I think sometimes you can turn people away by overcomplicating things too soon, too early.
And I think something that people don't see is those Rhinos rants that he used to go on
Mhm.
that they're like 5 minutes long. He had a whole legal pad for each one. He went through, wrote down what he wanted to talk about, and went through draft after draft after draft, edited things, made sure he remembered the titles of
That's
the
right.
research papers, who the authors were, where you can find it. This wasn't Kelly Starrett where you go, shing, hey guys, welcome. And it wasn't, and I mean, that's how good he is. It looks like he's just like, randomly like opening the car door and it's just like, hey, oh, hi there, I didn't see you. Let's talk, and let's talk about this.
Yeah.
It looks like that's what's going on, but that guy has rehearsed that thing 35 times before he puts that on there.
That's great.
And I know that he edits and it takes him a while
Mhm.
to get those things there. And that to me is the most impressive thing. Like I'm a huge JD Salinger fan, right? And the way that he wrote Catcher in the Rye and the way he wrote everything else just looks like he just wrote it down. Very Jack Kerouac, all just kept taping pieces of paper and just wrote it all at once. But when JD died and they went and looked back, he had something like 400 to 500 edits, 400 to 500 drafts of this thing, like literally changing one word in, paragraphs of things. And that's who Stan is. And I mean, I think that again kind of speaks to his greatness. And I think that he does such a good job of boiling things down to one sentence, one topic, whatever. But that's not by accident. That's by practice. And, I agree with you. I always talk about like, look, you can throw a book at somebody, you can give them this manual, but I mean, it takes a special psychopath to be like, yes, I have it. And this is it. And they can go and follow it to the letter. It's just throwing breadcrumbs out, one thing at a time, one small thing, every week or so, and leads to, one big thing at the end of the month. And I think that's not just young athletes. Everyone's got a bunch of shit going on. And I think that's really the only way to approach things is to try and be like, here, try that. If you feel like it, I got more. If not, that's cool, dude. You know, that might be enough to satiate those people for a while. So, you know, kudos to you to be able to be up that early and work with those kids, and big kudos to those kids. 4:30 in the fucking morning. I mean, there's not a right there.
They're all nuts.
They're all exactly.
Yeah.
Right there. It's, you know, those people are going to succeed. You know, just period. That, you know, they've already set themselves up for success. But I think that's the correct way to deal with everything, is to do what you're doing, and that's why you're a great coach too, man. So
Thank
you.
you.
It's you know, success leaves clues, and you know, you're not a bad coach by repeating, you know, great coaches, you know, things that they've said that work really, really well.
Yeah, I love that you say that success leaves clues.
Yeah.
When you said it like a couple of interviews ago, I was just like, oh shit, like that's genius. I don't know if you heard it from somebody or you made it up, but we'll give you full credit for it.
No, I definitely didn't make it up, but I can't tell you exactly where. I don't remember exactly where I heard it from. I think I heard it from a couple of people when they would I would say I heard it the most from Eric Cressy's podcast, and I don't remember who on there said it. And there's a couple of guests who, because I went on a binge and I listened to all like 110 episodes, but it was said a couple of times, and it was just one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, like, you know, it's, you want to be a successful wrestler, baseball player, MMA fighter. What do they have in common? You know, let's boil it down, and that's what it takes. And if you're not willing to do that, you're probably not going to. You need to be an incredibly special person in order to not do the things that everybody else does in order to get there. It just makes sense, and it's easy. It's just like, you know, well, what do you want to do? I want to do, you know, we were just talking about that already with, you know, with YouTube stuff and with podcasts. It's like, well, if you want to do a podcast, you want to do it well, look at the ones that do a really, really good job. Now, we're all not going to get to, you know, Joe Rogan status, right? Where you have this, you know, insane, you know, spot and just able to call on any guest that you want. But he does a lot of things right. He's interesting. He's charismatic. He cares. You know, the guests he have on are incredibly interesting. So, I mean, you can put all those things together and make something really, really great. But, you know, it very rarely are you going to see a podcast succeed doing exactly the opposite that Joe Rogan's podcast does.
So for some of those clues, you work with, you know, some world record holders. Do you find any commonalities between all of them? I mean, we can joke around about, you know, forgetting if you pull sumo this way or this way with the grip. I mean, it seems like I don't want to be mean, but like what? Like how can, like, you know, what, you got screwless or something? Like, is that what it takes to be a world record holder? But like, have you seen anything that's common amongst some of your athletes to where you're just like, oh, like, wow, Sarah does that, Tiff does that, Jeremy does that as well. Like, what is it amongst, you know, these? I mean, they're amazing athletes. So is there something that we can pick and be like, oh shit, that's the one thing that they all do?
I think there's a lot of stuff that they all do that help them be who they are, and I think there's a lot of stuff that they do individually that, you know, makes them who they are. To me, the biggest thing, and I was thinking about this a couple days ago, because Tiff just competed at the USAPL Nationals, and I think what's really always impressive with the best athletes is they realize that the past is the past. They realize that they're living in the now, and they realize that their future success more depends on what they're doing today than what they did back then. So when they come in and they don't feel 100% that day, they're just going to go in and do what they can do that day, and know that if they do that and they give what they can every day over and over again, that will lead to further success, because that's worked in the past. But just because they've pulled 800 in the past doesn't mean they need to pull it today in order to pull it tomorrow. So they have short memories of, you know, bad sessions, bad lifts, etc. And if they do remember them, they use them as motivation to get themselves through today and, you know, into kind of tomorrow. But, you know, it's so cliche. They show up for every workout on time, if not early. Well, not Jeremy. Let's just say they get to the gym, and they do their work. You know, they aren't cutting corners. They aren't shaving, you know, reps when you're not looking, or shaving sets when you're not looking. They're doing the things that they hate to do, making them look like they like doing them, doing them over and over and over again until it gets better. And they're focused on their diet, one way or the other, whether it's good or bad, cut or gain, and then, kind of whittle things down. And I think they're very trusting in a process. They don't sit there and this is why it's like you guys are, they can't count the weight on the bar, or they switch their hands, or they go up and they pull conventional when they're supposed to pull sumo. I think that the best athletes are able to kind of turn off. I mean, if you can think back to some of your matches, when you're just rolling and you did this, you pulled something out of your ass, you're like, how'd you do that? You're like, I don't know. Like, I really honestly don't remember. It's kind of that flow state. And unfortunately, sometimes with people, that flow state, they're so singular focused. Your mind in like those situations, in stressful situations, and especially in athletics, your mind can only really figure one thing out at a time, right? So, and it's your brain telling you this thing. So if you can understand whatever that one thing is, everything else kind of makes sense and kind of builds off of it. And they always have that one singular thing that they do, that they're able to kind of get into that mind state and have stuff kind of click, and then it kind of rolls and kind of goes forward. So, there's a lot of things, but I think it is just the fact that they are, they're airheads to the fact, like all the other stuff, it doesn't matter. I'm here and I'm going to work hard. I don't know where my keys are.
It doesn't matter because I'm getting ready to
because
pull.
I'm going to go deadlift.
Yeah.
I know I just spilled my, my water all over the place. I'll get it later. Not a big deal. Or like those things, it sounds, it is funny because it's just like, what? These are all incredibly educated, very smart, capable people. And it's just like, they're tripping over the deadlift platform. It's like, and first of all, the deadlift platform is this fucking big.
Right.
Second of all, they've deadlifted, I can't even imagine how many times in my gym.
Yeah.
Like they've been with me for 7, 8, 9 years at this point. It's like, how are you still like, I don't know.
Like, who put that there?
Was that always here?
I was gonna say, has that always been raised?
It's one of those things where they have that, they're able to really focus on a task and just let everything else disappear.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that they need to kind of let it come back in when they're done. And I think, sometimes they'll get lost and forget to kind of come back to reality sometimes.
Yeah, it seems kind of like bodybuilders, right? Like successful ones, like they'll win on stage, but then like you look at their finances or something, and it's just like, oh,
it's
like,
the same thing
happened?
with incredibly intelligent people. You know what I mean? My brother-in-law is a tenured professor at Stanford. He got $12 million from someone to study gravity waves, and
oh geez,
we go over to his apartment, and he literally has. So he bought a TV, and he didn't put it was literally in the box for almost 2.5 years. He finally put it up, but it's not connected to anything. It's not even turned on. But it had like some paper like in the box. He doesn't have shutters, so he just taped that over the stuff. Now this is the guy that NASA calls when they have a problem.
What is that?
This is the guy that goes
exactly what
this is
you're
the guy that goes
about.
to talk at Oxford and the Sorbonne and like gets flown around the country to deal with problems that he talked to Stephen Hawking. This is that guy.
Yeah. He
didn't know how to turn on his washer and dryer. It's a fucking power button, but he is just like, I've seen him. It's really cool. And we're going to get to see, some really cool artwork going on, on Saturday. Right.
Yeah.
And there's stuff like that I just like, I have no frame of reference. I have like negative artistic ability, right? To watch someone do that, it seems like an out of body experience to me. And to watch him sit there and type things out, he's had papers published in Nature. And this guy is just so brilliant. To watch him think is just like, man, like what is going on? There's something so completely different. So you kind of got to respect that and kind of be in awe of it, but also just like, how are you, like, how do you survive? It's just amazing the stuff that he knows and the stuff that he's just doesn't care about. He just does it. Like someone, we were over at his house. He just turned 40, and someone was talking about taxes. He's like, oh yeah, they're like, no, those were due last week. He's like, really? He's like, is it,
Yeah.
wait, what month are we in? I'm like, wait, really?
We still do that? Taxes?
And he's just like,
we haven't figured out a better way. Like, let me think about it for half an hour.
and
I'll
he's just
tell
like,
you.
oh man, I swear to God, I just did those. I'm like, I think you did them last year. He goes, did I do them this year? It's like, probably not. I was like, no, all right, figure it out.
Yeah, it'll work itself out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Would you say specifically with the athletes that you've worked with and seeing them day in and day out do these things in the gym, would you say that they think pretty neutrally, like they're never too far up, they're never too far down, or if they do have a dip in their day or something that's super exciting, they quickly come back to kind of just being even keeled and neutral again?
I think the best athletes have the ability to do that, and I think pairing, I think that's what I do very best, where it's like, hey man, how you feeling? I'm like, shit, okay. We're still gonna just roll it out there. Let's see what we get. And if we check back in, it was just you getting in there, you weren't in the frame of mind or whatever, and things start to roll, say, okay, hey, you were still not feeling great. Let's maybe pull back a little bit as we kind of work today. And they might say, you know what, I'm fine. I was just whatever I was dealing with or thinking or whatever. I'm cool now. So let's ride. Okay, cool. Hey, I feel great. Great. Let's roll it all out there. Let's see what we get. Yeah, that last set looked pretty bad. Yeah, it felt not good too. It's like, let's just call it there, man. Let's call it a day and let's go and get some good work in elsewhere. And like their ability to just be like, yeah, okay, cool. On either one of those kind of, sides of the spectrum where they're just like, yeah, I accept that today either is going really well and I didn't think it was, and we'll just let it keep going. And or, man, I thought I felt better today. I thought I had a good night's sleep, but sometimes it's just not your day. And it's like, all right, I was able to get X done today, and that's gonna have to be enough. And tomorrow, it'll be better. I'll learn from what I did today, and we'll take a look at things, and hopefully tomorrow will be as good, if not better. So I think the best athletes are going to have that ability to experience these things, have this emotional reaction to them, but not let their emotions drive them in either direction, one way or the other. I always think of it as someone who's going up for a deadlift, and they're smashing their face into something, and this is a weight that they've done for a triple before, and then they're just getting so overhyped that they just go that way. They go up to the bar and they pull it, and then they go, oh, fuck. Like, I didn't even pull it for one. Like, well, maybe like that excitement should kind of focus you, not take you one way or the other. And I think a lot of people want to, because it looks so fucking cool and you're a badass or whatever, but if it takes you out of your groove and takes you one way, it doesn't work for you, and they know what works for them, and they try not to deviate one way or the other. So, so yeah, it's definitely being able to kind of stay more even keel and kind of stay in that kind of flow state, that groove, and not really let the ups and downs of the day, the training cycle, or whatever negatively or over positively affect them.
Awesome. Yeah, I might have a little bit of genius in me then. So yesterday, I moved almost a year ago now, and I'm like, man, I should really get on the whole thing about like changing my address. Like, fuck, I better do that. So I Google it. I figured out you can do it online. I'm like, oh, this is sick. Like, because going to the DMV, like, fuck, dude, fuck off.
No thanks.
So I do the whole thing, and I get to the very end, and I'm like, wait, I did this. Oh shit, like, wait, I know I already did this. And like I checked, and it was like, yeah, you completed it in like December of last year. I'm like, I'm on top of things.
Well, you're also dealing with your wife was pregnant, you have a newborn. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of other stuff going on, so it's very possible that you just outright fucking forgot.
Yeah, probably not genius, huh?
No, well, I don't want to say that. I'm just saying there's other factors.
Yeah. Josh, you noticing anything common with some of your athletes?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm curious, because they are on the younger side, so like, there's probably stuff that you can already spot.
There's a couple guys that I'm thinking of. One of them is Josh Provins, and when I coached him for wrestling, I'm not his wrestling coach anymore, but we still lift together. His nickname was 4.2 because he had the highest GPA, in the whole team. And when you said success leaves clues, I'm sure that like applies for various people, but even with like a guy like Stan, even within his own life, there's clues of success in every single area. And this guy, Josh, his grades are rock solid. He plays soccer and water polo and
Jeez.
lacrosse and wrestles. He's like one of the most successful wrestlers that the program's ever had. He just absolutely crushes. And he's super quiet and he is just observing everything all the time. And you ask him a question, he has a solid answer, it's a truthful answer, and then he's quiet again. He's just observing and watching. And I think just being observant of things is probably a huge thing that leads to a lot of success. Watching how someone walks up to the bar and deadlifts, and even if you've said something like, hey, you need to, pull your shoulder blades back and get tighter this way, then being able to watch it and say like, oh, okay, I think I can replicate that, or at least try to replicate that skill. I'm sure applies to every area of life, being able to observe something and replicate it for yourself. And then the other thing I found in seeing those young kids, like what makes them successful, and I think it's funny that we brought up John Jones, is that a lot of them are younger brothers, and how I developed relationships with them was being friends with their oldest brothers, and then 5 or 6 years later being their strength coach. And so seeing the younger brothers just have like an attitude full of piss and vinegar, and you talk to them and they're like, I'm gonna kick the freaking shit out of my brother later, like by getting stronger, like they get fired up by that. And I think that, I don't know what that's like. I only have one brother and I'm the oldest, and we don't have that kind of relationship at all. But I've noticed that is a common thing. Like these younger brothers just have a different mindset and different gear that will push them differently than maybe someone like myself who has one brother and we're just super chill all the time. We're not fighting each other.
I think it just comes back to success leaves clues. Like they've seen their brother, and I mean, most likely these are brothers who are wrestlers and grapplers, whatever. They saw what works. They've seen them be successful. So they're like, oh, all I have to do is that.
Yeah.
So they get to forget all the mistakes that their older brother made. Like, oh, I just got to double leg someone who's standing up a little bit stiffer, straight, whatever. Or we're like, oh, well, if someone does X, Y, and Z, like, oh, it's already there. Like that takes years to figure out. But if they see it and they're just like, oh, that's all I have to do. Okay, cool. I'm like, fuck. It's like, yeah, you have a cheat code because you have an older brother who's an athlete. And I mean, that's again, back to Eric Cressy's podcast. He talks about that, about being a younger brother and talking about, and I would say 20 of his interviews with Major League Baseball players, some of them, most of them are younger brothers.
Wow.
And it was that just, and I want to say Bear Bryant would always talk about this. It's like, he would always recruit twins. You're like, why do you want twins? Why do you want brothers? It's like, look, I can't teach that sort of competitiveness.
Oh.
There can be a person, you can be the most competitive guy in the world, but if you're literally fighting for food in the womb, like you can't do that. And then you're fighting tooth and nail with your brother every single fucking day. You can't teach that.
Wow.
It's just built into their DNA. And, he recruited that. And I think that's the older brother or younger brother thing. And I mean, let's be very clear. It can go both ways where, the younger brother's like, fuck you, I'm never wrestling. Like, I hate you. It can get bad. But as long as there's a good relationship there, that younger brother's always going to try and be better. And oftentimes they are the better athlete, whatever. And it's because they have this cheat code. They've seen what it takes to be successful. And it's I think in Gladwell's book, like, okay, well, why is it that doctors' kids usually become doctors? Because they know what you need to do in order to become a doctor. Do you know?
I have no idea.
I don't know either, because my mom and dad aren't doctors, but apparently you have to go to a school, a
doctor school.
Well, I mean, but you got to go pre-med, and then you can go med, and then you have to do X, Y, and Z, and you need to have all these other classes before you can even qualify to go pre-med.
Do you have to graduate high school first?
Apparently, yeah. I think you have to have good grades too. So it's just one of those, and you have to be incredibly disciplined, and you have to be willing to, do a lot of stuff, and you can't have this emotional involvement. I'm like, ooh, blood, like it is what it is. Have you ever heard a doctor talk to their kid? It was like, how was your bowel movement this morning? Oh, well, it's like, what the hell is that? So, I mean, they speak a language. They speak a just different language, and they understand that language. And I mean, that's just, there's a recipe and there's a track laid out for these kids. So that's fascinating. And it always boggles my mind when there's, brothers, sisters, twins, whatever. You're just like, man, that's going to be like, that kid's going to be dangerous. Like that kid is, and there's in the softball world down in Pleasanton, there's a family that has 4 sisters. And the one sister is just in like, she's a senior or something. And then there's a younger sister as a sophomore. And there's like a 7th, 8th grader. And then there's like a 3rd grader. And each one of them look exactly like the other one, like in like how they move. And so the youngest in 3rd grade is moving and throwing the ball like her 18-year-old sister, who's a Division I scholarship athlete. And I'm like, oh, it's like, as long as this kid doesn't grow to hate softball, like that's gonna be the most dominant pitcher like of all time, because she's been doing it since she's been 6, right? And she's gonna have 12 years of doing it at an elite level of movement. Then most of these kids are gonna have 2 or 4, right? So you just hope that she stays on stays on that path, still likes it, and doesn't get suffocated by it. But it's like each one has one step ahead of the older one, because the older one's gone there and made the mistakes and showed them how, and also more importantly how not to do things.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, when I was younger, so like I'm talking like elementary school. So my brother's 7 years older, and yeah, I would just mimic everything he would do, and he was like an all-star all the time.
Right.
And so when I was that young, I was like the one kid on the younger teams that could like, nobody else could catch the ball. I definitely could, so I would play all the important positions. And,
right.
It was like, and like, I remember coaches asking my dad, like, hey, do you take him to camps? Like, what's going on here? And he's just like, no, he just copies his older brother.
Yeah.
And then, so that's how that happened. But I mean, it worked out really well for Mark Bell.
Yeah.
He followed the blueprint that it was left behind by,
and avoided a couple of the big giant
same
pitfalls.
Here too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why my credit's okay right now, because my brother and sister were not good in that department. Maddie wanted to know what's the deal with the stage. So I think Wendler talked about Meat Day Magic. So he was saying that Jen Thompson posted how she was struggling with deadlift training at home, but when she hit the stage, doubting herself, she ended up crushing it still. So like, what's going on there? Is it just people can turn it on the day of, or is it like what's happening?
I think it's, if you've been there, you know what it takes to perform on that platform or on the stage, and you need to just realize that everything you're doing prior to that is getting you prepared for that. And you have to, again, if you have a plan, you execute it, you don't deviate it, you have these habits, you trust the process that is going to get you to where you are, and you just kind of let it happen. You do the hard work and yada yada yada, right? But when you get on there, you're just like, okay, cool. I'm not going to think like, well, I missed this 3 times in training. It doesn't fucking matter. It's like, I've done this before, it's happened, it's great. It's going to be successful. Now with Jen, she's been doing this for a long time and unbelievably successful. And while she may have been doubting, her deadlift training, her support system, her husband, her kids, and her past has told her just like, it hasn't been great, but we're still going to go out there. We're going to put it on the bar, and I'm going to do everything I can to pull it. And it's just having that confidence in what you did prepared you for where you are. I think that's just the way that it, people are built that way, but you can also build people that way. It's just like, trust the process. This is the roadmap to get to where we need to go. Let's execute this plan. And when we get on the platform, we know you're going to be successful, and you just got to trust and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to be successful, and just kind of turn it on. And I mean, that's with powerlifting. And I mean, and sure, with wrestling, MMA, there's a lot of other stuff that kind of goes on, but eventually, it's about your preparation. You're going to see that guy dip a shoulder and know what's coming and know how to react to it, because you've been doing that, you're like, he'd remember he does this, and this is what you do. And eventually that's going to happen, just because people have patterns and they're going to do it. You watch enough video, you prepare, it's going to be there. You could be getting your ass kicked, and then all of a sudden he does that. I mean, how many times do you see it, right?
Yeah.
It happens all the time. And even when you're getting your ass kicked, like, I know this is coming. I know this is coming. And then it's there, and it's over with, and it's done. And everyone's like, holy shit, how did that happen? Like, I've been doing that. I was waiting for him. I mean, how many post-fight interviews? Like, I knew that this was going to happen,
Yeah.
and it was all about just waiting, being confident, knowing that it was going to happen, and eventually he was going to dive for my knee, and all I had to do was go like this, and it hit him in the fucking face and knocked him out. And I think Derek Lewis said that, he was getting his ass kicked. I knew he was going to try this one combo or the spinning back fist, and I basically put my fist out there. He ran into it, and hey man, here we are, and my nuts is hot.
Yeah.
My nuts is hot.
Do you think there's a balance between having the confidence of like kind of stepping into meet day magic and also just being kind of not necessarily overwhelmed, but having an intense level of fear of failure? And that's like another side that helps people perform. And the reason why I bring it up is in a recent GSP interview, he talked about how leading up to the fight and in the locker room and then as he's getting his hands wrapped and as he's warming up, he said he's so terrified. He's constantly thinking like, why didn't I stay in school? Why didn't I listen to my parents and like go to Doctor University, wherever that's located at?
Yes.
But he's so afraid, and he just is constantly thinking of what if I get knocked out of him and embarrassed, or even worse, what if I freaking die by some killer?
Mm-hmm.
And that fear like elevates his performance a little bit to do what he's done time and time again, just destroy everybody. So do you think there's a balance in how people mitigate fear and confidence, or do you think some people mostly operate with confidence and other people mostly operate with fear?
I think that you can't say one way or the other is right. It's just right for the person. But I think in that moment, pressure is a privilege, right? And in order to be that guy to hit the game-winning home run, you have to be willing to be that guy to strike out and lose the fucking game. And you need to, in order to be that guy to knock someone the fuck out with 10 seconds left in the 5th round and become the world champion, you also have to be willing to be that guy who gets his ass knocked out with 10 seconds left and loses the championship. So now how you get there, whether you're like, I'm so fucking scared to do this, to lose whatever, or I'm so fucking happy, I can't wait to win, right? It doesn't matter. I really feel like it's the same thing. People will come at it from different ways, right? Just like being nervous and excited. It's literally the same pathway in your brain. You just have to you have to decide what it is. I'm excited. Cool. Great. You're happy. Let's fucking do this. Dude, I'm nervous. Okay. But you're prepared. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Hey, you're super excited. Hey, bring it down. Bring it down. Let's not, just looking like a, superstar in the warm-up room. And, let's go do that out there. Oh yeah. Cool. Save some of that for out there. Oh, right. But you have to be willing to be that person and understand that it doesn't necessarily define you as a person, as an athlete, as a human being. And know that, you drag that success with you into the batter's box, into the ring, into whatever it is, and just be willing to say like, hey man, I did my homework, you did yours. Let's see who did it better. And it'll just happen, and you stick to your plan and you go from there. I think people just get there, can get there from radically different ways. But I think when you look at all of it together, you're just like, were you willing to go in and lose that fight? Yeah. Okay. But you won. Yeah. Wasn't it awesome? It's like, you won. Yeah. I was worried. I was so worried about losing. Like, okay, but you won. Yeah, no, it wasn't awesome. So I think people get there, in different ways, and that's a personal thing for everybody, and it's, I don't think there's one right way to be, or to coach people to be one way. Let them figure it out, but just like, well, hold on. Let's not get too up. Let's not get too down. Let's kind of stay here, focus on the moment, and just kind of let things happen and let your preparation show off what you can do. So, yeah, it's a fascinating, the whole thing is just, it's amazing. It's fascinating. But I really do believe that in order to be super successful, you have to be willing to be a giant failure all at the same time. And I mean, and then you look back and you say like, who are some of the greatest successes? And all they talk about is their failures, right? And what they didn't do well. And this one was just happened to be the 3-point shot that they were able to make. And they still want the ball. They always want the ball. And they're willing to take it when some people aren't. And they'll deal with the goods and the bads, the highs and the lows, and they'll be back the next game and they want the ball again.
Sick. So then let's Yeah, let's talk about some of your training. So this one, Ronnie Coleman in his 800-pound squat,
Uh-huh.
he always talks about like, I had one more in me. So he kind of regrets it, right?
Right.
Do you have any
I think Eddie always talks about that too with his like 1,003 or whatever it was. He did like 2. He's like, I could have done 5.
so lazy to only do
I know.
2? Do you have anything like that in regards to like maybe a giant set or maybe like a 1 rep max, that sort of thing?
I think like for me, I don't necessarily always concentrate on kind of the training. Sometimes I don't even remember what I did, leading up to stuff. I will say that there are meets where I know I felt better than I had performed, but the plan was still the plan. And I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. And if I get to here, I can do this. And if I get to there, I can do that. I don't think there was anything. I mean, there's always, I missed 854 by like this much and held it there and turned black and almost passed out. You know what I mean? I mean, that stuff, I think about all the time. But, in training and stuff and knowing, did I have more, whatever, that's more of kind of like just knowing who you are. And if Ronnie did that, Ed did that, if they would have done 1 more rep, 2 more reps, 3 more reps, maybe they wouldn't have been able to do the other stuff too. So it's just like, look, you stuck to your plan. You said this is what I was going to do. You did it. Be happy with that. You know what I mean? Especially in training, I mean, when you're on the platform and like, man, I know I could have done 20, 30 more pounds, kilos, whatever. You can have those regrets, but training regrets, those have never resonated with me because it's practice. Right? I'll remember the stuff that I fucked up and that I could have done better, or I could have lifted more on a platform or on the field or whatever it is. The other stuff is just like, well, I was figuring it out. And, could I have done more? Yeah. But, it could have negatively affected it. I mean, what if Ronnie did 1 more rep and fucked his shoulder up and then he, tore a delt. Now he's, now he's got this lopsided blob on his side and he's not going to win the, he's not going to win any championships for the next 3 years because he's not symmetrical and huge. And I mean, what if Eddie does something and he tweaks something? Then that's the way it is. So, of course, there are things that you think about, but you just try and downplay it and just be like, well, my plan was this. I did as much as I could, and you kind of move on. So.
Do you think there's 2 different personalities, at least within the athletes that you've been around and talked to and coached, or like some people are always chasing that extra rep, and then the best are just sticking to the plan and just like, I've got 2, like the program said, but I felt like I had 5, so I'll take those extra 3 reps, and however that equates in magic platform math to a 1 rep max on the platform. But have you seen that? That's like a key, like success leaves keys or success leaves clues.
Yeah.
Has that been a clue? Like people that just stick to the plan a little bit, don't overshoot it, even if they are feeling amazing that day.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that's a very special person who you're describing, who like does something and makes it look really easy and can walk away and go, I'm good, I'm cool, it's okay. Like, well, you could, sometimes so I think like in what you just talked about, there's like 3 to 4 distinct people, right? You're that person who is going to underperform and be really okay with underperforming. Like, oh, that looked good. Did you want to do more? No, I'm cool. Then there's that person that's like, I think I do, in my plan, coming into this or whatever, I felt like I could do X amount of reps or whatever weight or whatever percentage. I'm at 85. I'd be willing to go to like 87 or something. Like, oh, okay, cool. And then they do that. And like, hey, that looked awesome. Like, yeah, that's good. I'm going to shut it down there. That's, I did what I wanted to do. Then there's those people who are just like always wanting to do more, and you kind of got to rein, and as a coach and as a training partner, you got to realize who those people are. You're going to have to rein people back in who are like, dude, 700 felt great. Just put 900 on the bar. Well, hold on. Okay, let's make a couple other steps and make a decision. Can we take like 750 first? Oh, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Like, I know, it's okay. And there's other people who you got to really drag along. Like, well, that looked really good. Oh, I don't know. I didn't. Well, let's just try 20 more pounds. Let's do 10. All right. I mean, there's those people. And then there's the people who are just very surgical about it. And they're like, nope, I did this. I'm like, great. Then you're good, right? Yep. Okay. that was really easy for me today. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that there's always going to be certain personalities and certain people, and being a good training partner, being a good coach is about recognizing who those people are, understanding, how they're feeling that day, what the plan is, and helping them kind of stay kind of right in the middle there and, get as much work done as they can without fucking things up either mentally or physically going forward.
Yeah, hearing Milanichev say he doesn't actually know what he could have lifted.
Right.
Like when he said that at the seminar, you just heard a gasp from everyone being like, "Oh," because I mean, I'm thinking like everyone, like if you were to put like my brain into his body, I'd be like, let's see where this thing can go. Like,
Right.
it's like getting into a fast car. You're just like, well, let's see what happens when I top out. Like, how fast can I go?
Yeah.
But to hear him say that, I was just like, oh shit. Like, all right, I guess my gym PR doesn't really matter, at the end of the day.
But what really mattered, and getting to talk to Andre, which is amazing, hearing him over and over again, is like, it didn't matter the number on the bar. It mattered how he lifted that number on that bar. He will talk about like, I didn't like that squat. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't like that squat? I got out of balance. I had to do this, this, and this. And I think, that fucked my hamstring up. And like, you're like, I didn't see any of that, and, again, those things like, did a weight bother you or miss whatever? It's just like, well, it's the execution is what I'm interested in. And I thought it was fascinating, and he's that special just athlete who's just like, you're going to do 60%. Okay. Like, you look like you'd do 120%. I'm going to do 60. Okay. And just walk away and know that your preparation and everything that you've done, way in the past has got you to, has led you up to all of this stuff. And I mean, that's what Koklev always would talk about. Like, how long was your deadlift peaking routine when you pulled 900? He's like, 41 years. You're like, well, no. When you're leading up to that deadlift, how long, like 8 weeks? He's like, 41 years. Since birth, I've been training to do this. Everything that I did leading up to this was training and recovery and pre-workout and whatever. It got me here. All of that got me here. It wasn't 8 weeks. It was the 41 years that got me here.
Jeez.
You said surgical, which immediately reminded me of our favorite beanie wearing lifter of all time, Sully. And there was a period of time where Sully and I were both working out early in the morning together, and it was just us. I'll put an asterisk by that. We weren't working out together because, let's be honest, like, I have no business even sharing any of the same bars or dumbbells that he's using, but we were working out at the same time.
Right.
But he was so surgical, and when I'd talk to him about what Josh Bryant would write up for him, he'd pull out the spreadsheet and he'd say, well, Josh has me doing this, so I need to grab these plates over here to make it exactly 37.5 pounds on this side and 37.5 pounds on this side. Like, he was so surgical, and I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, look at what he's doing now. He just moved to Texas, and it seems like he's doing great, crushing training over there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess we could just call him Surgical Sully.
Right.
That's how he does everything.
That guy would do well training only in the dark in his garage. You know what I mean? And that's just because of his commitment level. And I mean, there are people like that. And you don't necessarily have to be that surgical. I always remember when I would do like drop sets, it's like, just do as many as you can. And Joanne Ada, who just set, all-time world records as a master and won USAPL nationals. She's like, I can't do as many. I need a number. And I was just like, okay. It's like, and this is 80% of like a 1 rep max. I was like, Joe, just go until you can't go anymore. She's like, I can't do that. Give me a number. I was like, 30. She's like, okay. And she went out there and she did 30. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's like, you said do 30. I was like, I didn't really mean 30. And then when Josh Bryant says 90% and it's 86, 876.4 pounds, but Sully finds a way to get exactly that on. He's just like, dude, come on, round up. I mean, really? It's like, well, you said, like, oh, Jesus, God. So you don't have to be that surgical. You don't have to be a really good surgeon. You just have to be okay surgeon. But, if you get, close to it, I think it's great. But I mean, Josh Bryant even talked about it. I mean, he's just got the mental makeup. And he's the other guy, Josh even talked about that, where he's just like, would you go eat a burrito or something? Like, stop. You don't have to do this all the time. I want you to fuck up for about 3 months on your diet. And then for the next 2 months, we'll correct it. Be like, well, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, well, like those are the people who are like, go and eat some ice cream, and you're just like, oh, ice cream. What flavor? What kind?
How much?
It doesn't matter. Just go and So like, what does that mean?
Like Baskin
Is that
Robbins,
or should I buy it from the
grocery
should
store?
it be organic, or should I buy it from the store? Like, it doesn't matter. So there are people who are just like, Jesus God, you know, they need you to throw that pamphlet at them, that booklet. But you know, if you can get close to it, you know, you'll be okay. But Sully's going to be extremely successful because he's committed. He has great trust in his coach. Josh is a great coach, and what I took from Josh Bryant, he's he's like the meathead guy, but that guy is tuned in, man. That guy is tuned into his athletes, talks extensively about like mindset training and understanding how people are learning and how to coach to those people. I was incredibly impressed with Josh and how he carried himself and how he talked about coaching his athletes and also how much he cares for those athletes. So Sully's going to be just fine in whatever he does. And I think that's, you know, and I would say very much the same for you, Josh. I think that whatever you're going to apply to yourself, because you have that disciplined aspect of it and you're willing to do whatever it takes, you can be successful as a wrestler, a jiu-jitsu artist, you know, a businessman, you know, in your new marriage, all that stuff. You're going to be successful because you're disciplined and you're willing to do whatever it takes to, you know, to make it work. And, you know, Sully's that guy. He's going to, if you tell him to do 3 sets of 15 bicep curls, he's not going to do 16 and he's not going to do 14.
Right.
And I think Josh knows that. And, you know, he tries to be a little less exacting and gives him a little bit of leeway to kind of, you know, let him know how he feels. But Josh has got an incredible read on how Sully feels. And, it looks like Sully feels fucking awesome all the time.
Yeah. It was funny. When I didn't quite understand Sully, I remember I had asked him something really fucking stupid. Like, I think I was like, hey, do you know where like the gym like control is like for the music or whatever? And he was in the middle of like for him, a light like dumbbell bench.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he just fucking looked right through me, or just like he didn't acknowledge me at all. I was just like, well, see you later. and then he tracked me down on the other end of the you know, and he had the control or whatever the fuck. I don't remember what it was. That's just an example. And I was just like, okay, like I get it. Like, you're a fucking pro. Like,
Right.
you know, it's like, okay, I'm gonna stop fucking with you in the middle of your set.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, it was something stupid because, you know, I didn't understand at the time, like, wait, no, this guy is all in. Like,
Yeah.
he's more than that.
Yeah,
And it was just really cool to, like, because he is younger,
Yeah.
to have somebody so locked in to be like, oh, I need to get on my shit. Like, you know, like he put me in check without doing anything. And it was just really cool.
And always, you know, I always respect and love that about whoever that is, and especially love that about Sully. But I also love the exact opposite side of that coin, who is Mark.
Of course.
And I have witnessed Mark walking up to a 1,000 or an 1,100 pound squat, geared up, knees wrapped, already pumped up, etc. And this is when he was coaching at Woodland, so this is, you know, however long ago. He would invite his high school athletes into the gym to kind of work out, you know, for free. And this kid was a troubled kid, and he would always have him. And Mark would really kind of hold his hand through everything. And he's just like, anytime that you need, you ask me. And this kid literally took that very seriously. And as Mark is going up, he's like, hey, Coach Mark, where is the carabiner to the chains? And Mark was just like, had that flash of like, I'm gonna fucking murder you. And then he realized who it was, and he's just like, oh, they're just over there right underneath the thing if you want to grab those, and if you can't see one, just take one off of one of the other ones and one of the heavier ones and just use that. He's like, oh, okay, cool. And Mark just walked to the bar, and he crushed the weight. But watching that, I was just like, you know, I felt like, oh, fuck, I fucked him up because I just didn't go like this to the kid and just let him get to the bar, because I was like, God damn it, now he's going to whatever. But there are people who, like Mark, who can have a casual conversation
Yeah.
on his way up to the bar and still be okay. And then there's Sully, who he wouldn't even have known you were there
Yeah.
if you didn't have
absolutely.
asked him a question. And 5 minutes later, he was like, "Oh shit, I didn't answer that question when Andrew asked me."
Yeah.
And then he comes over, he's like, "Oh, here's that thing you're looking for." You're like, "Oh, I thought you didn't like me," you know? So
Yeah. And I remember one day, like, I was like, all right, Sully, take it easy. Like, as he's doing bicep curls, like, literally, like, walking in front of him, like, see you later, bud. And then later, he, like, again, tracked me out. I was like, hey, Joe, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ignore you. But it was exactly that. He, like, I didn't exist. And then he's like, oh, wait, I didn't mean to be rude.
right.
I'm, just doing bicep curls. I'm like, hey, dude, I get it. I stay that locked in also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially during curls.
That's actually the only thing I
Which
stay
is
locked
true,
in.
dude. You're looking fucking great, man.
Thanks,
You're doing
dude.
awesome.
I did today's shoulder workout was really good, but it kind of doesn't matter what the workout is. It ends with biceps.
It's
Nice.
just
Like,
what it's,
it has to happen that way.
and that's something that I took from Coach Joe Ken, Coach House.
Mhm.
He's when he was with the Panthers and when Cam was at Cam, right?
Shit.
He came to House and was like, "Hey, man, you gotta let us flex a little bit, Coach." Because
Nice.
Joe is very like, well, he's very conservative in what he does with his athletes and is very respectful for the fact that the weight room is the weight room, and being an NFL superstar is a completely kind of different thing, and this can only bolster that. And he's just like, well, Cam, I don't know. He's just like, can you just give me 20 minutes on a Friday and just let me handle the thing? You write it down, but we just want to get jacked.
Nice.
And he's like, okay. So he called it Arm Farm.
Ooh.
And
There you go.
Coach would get all the coaches, he would have a meeting and he would say, get out. They closed all the doors. They pulled all the shades. They turned the music up to 11. They all took their shirts off. He walked out, he closed the door, and he said it was like the biggest round of applause is like, finally no one's watching us, and everyone just went fucking
Crazy.
bonkers. And for 20 minutes, all they did, he would ask him, was like, what'd you guys do? Bicep curls?
Hell yeah.
Like, we did some tricep stuff. It's like, that's all you did for 20 minutes, and we just fucking screamed with the music is loud, and people are jumping all over the place, getting hype. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking awesome. So I stole that. So any of my kids who come in, right, it's like, okay, hey, you're done, whatever, cool. It's like, hey, Arm Farm roll, go eat. And they're like, yeah.
Nice.
It's like, get them, be happy on the way out, because you're always going to remember, like, how's the gym? It's fucking awesome. You see,
right.
look at this. It's like, and on a good note, it's all good.
Arm Farm. That's a
Arm
shirt.
Farm.
I
Arm
love that
Farm.
idea.
Arm Farm.
Yeah. Josh, if you could help me out with this one, you were asking something about a change my mind segment.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Can you clarify that? And then I guess we
Yes.
can wrap with that one because we're a little bit over an hour in.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a question. So for those who are watching who aren't familiar with the Change My Mind segment, I'm sure you guys have all seen the meme of the guy sipping coffee in front of a table that reads
Some statement.
Some statement.
Mhm.
Yeah, change my mind. So my question for you, Jesse, and you, Andrew, if you guys did a strength and or fitness change my mind of all the people you've interviewed, all the podcasts you've listened to, all the athletes you've worked with or been around, what have you taken from any of your experiences as, okay, this is my change my mind statement?
Everything depends.
Woo.
Your program, that piece of paper doesn't matter. And you're not going to change my mind, because it's like, look, you're going to give that to somebody, you're going to get radically different things from one person to the other if you don't pay attention to some of the other stuff.
Mhm.
And everyone is built different. Everyone has different motivation. Everyone comes at things negative, positive. Everyone has good and bad days. So it's almost like it doesn't matter. It's like your program, what you're doing doesn't matter. It's the effort that you put in and the recovery afterwards. That's all that kind of matters. So that would be a really weird one. It depends. Change my mind.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly how to express it. It's just like your program doesn't matter or
Mhm.
whatever. It's just it matters how you do your program or
Mhm.
who wrote your program or what font or what spreadsheet. It doesn't matter. It matters how you go about your business, not the fact that you're doing business.
Yeah, the first thing I can think of is incline press. It doesn't do shit for your pecs. Change my mind.
Oh.
This, of course, all comes from Doug Brignoli, and if you're like, no, it definitely does something. It probably does, but if you're gonna flex your chest, do you raise your hands and then? No, you go down, right, and then you fucking get your pecs going. So yeah, that would be for me, because I'm just like, No, like you have to incline press because like it's next to the flat bench, so you just go from one to the other. Like that's how it used to be for me, and I would never mess with decline because it was so easy, and so I blamed it on it being easy by being not effective. But now it's like, fuck, dude, I wish I had access to a decline press because like I rig stuff up here in the gym, but it's always a little wonky if it's on the like that bubble thing.
Yep.
So I'm always like, here we go, like full body movement, or you try to put a plate on the normal flat bench, but then your legs kind of go all over the place and end up doing like a backflip almost. But yeah, so that would be the one thing like for sure that comes to my mind right away is like the incline press doesn't do shit for your chest. Changed my mind.
Well, it's also like I would say, another one would be kind of like the isolation stuff. Like, oh, this works peak for the bicep, upper, middle, lower, pec. And I was like, flex your bicep. Now only flex the top of it. and then everyone goes. I was like,
that's great.
I was like,
That's
look,
amazing.
you can flex, you can extend. That's it, man. Now, can there be better whatever? Is it a different thing? Yes. Are you going to get bored as fuck only doing, flat bench or only incline bench, whatever your predilection is? Yeah, 100%. But bro, you can only flex or extend. There's no like, I'm going to choose which head of my bicep I'm going to flex, which head of my tricep, which quad I'm going to. No, it's all fucking flexing, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's there. Prove me wrong. Go for it. That maybe that's what, that's one of the, I've been fighting that forever.
Wow.
Ever since commercial stuff. And I mean, now no one,
That's great.
with powerlifters, they don't really give a fuck. But it's just like, look, everything is, this trains my lockout better. Well, I think it probably trains your glutes more, you know what I mean? And that's what is helping your lockout. It's just like, this is, I need a lot more lower hamstring from the bottom. I'm like, bro, that doesn't exist, lower hamstring. It's like really way much more higher. It's one of those like, hey, here's an anatomy book. Just read through this real quick. And then when you get through with it, you can come and tell me how idiotic that statement was. But that's what I always think of when it's like, okay. And I use it for someone who starts talking about it. I'm like, okay. It's like, oh, that gets your upper chest? Yeah. It's like, okay, flex your pecs for me. Now only flex the top. Like, see, it didn't work. Changed my mind.
That's so funny. What you got, Josh?
Mine is well, at least for some backstory in the jiu-jitsu community, there are still people that think that you don't need to be strong and technique is all that matters. And I usually just ask them like, okay, well, how do you do technique? Well, you move in a perfect way. It's like, okay, well, how do you move in a perfect way? Well, you just practice. Like, well, what moves your limbs perfectly? Well, you just do it. It's like, well, no, you have muscles. And if you have muscles that are stronger, then you can do your technique stronger. So then I guess it would be like no one ever lost because they were too strong.
Yeah.
No one ever got injured because they were too strong. You either lose because you're weak or you didn't plan properly or you got injured because you're weak or there's a lot of reasons on why you could get injured, but one of them is definitely not because you're too strong.
Yeah. No, I think Marcus said something very similar to that. It's like there's never been a post-win interview or or a post-loss interview. Like got knocked out because I was just way too strong today. Like, I actually maybe that's a Derek Lewis thing.
Oh yeah.
I lost today because I was way too fucking strong, good looking, and my balls was hot.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean that's it. No, that's such a good one, Josh. That's perfect.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the other thing would be calories in, calories out. That's the only thing that matters. Changed my mind.
I think that's actually been one of those memes, and one of the diet gurus have kind of said that. Yeah,
Probably.
and I think that being someone who's kind of seen crazes and stuff go in and out, and when if it fits your macros came up, and kind of the same thing with paleo, right? You see just people like crushing like strawberries and mangoes and sweet potatoes by the pound, and you're like
But it's paleo,
and it's the same thing. I remember someone did what's the the point system with Weight Watchers.
Weight Watchers, yeah.
They like look, it's a great idea, right? And it's basically counting calories.
Yeah.
They can't account for like every single thing out there, right? And what they say in there, and it's literally a sentence, right? That says like, if it's not written in here, it's 0 points.
Oh, shit.
So I had a client who was going through Weight Watchers, and this was 20 some odd years ago. Just like, I'm looking at her thing, at her diet, and, you know, we're going over everything. I'm like, seems like you're eating a lot of Wendy's spicy chicken nuggets. Like that, how are you not accounting for those? Like, well, it's 0 points. Like, no, I mean, no, that can't be no. We're like, well, look, no, it says if it's not in here. It's like, well, that's a brand new fucking creation.
Yeah.
Like you have to assume that those are the same points as other chicken nuggets. Like, well, but they're spicy and from Wendy's. Like,
because the spice reduces the calories.
But I mean, you know, there are those people who letter of the law read it the way that it kind of is. So I mean, and then the people who are just crushing just, you know, 14 pounds of sweet potato and chugging, you know, MCT oil and whatever. And like, I have no idea why I'm not losing weight. Like, and then if it fit your macros, like crushing cupcakes with a dry chicken breast, like, like, yeah, you're doing it, but you could be doing it a lot better.
If you're wondering why you're so damn tired the next day, it's because you had empty calories.
Yes, exactly. It's just like that diet. Yeah, I can eat anything that's clear. Gummy bears, tequila, rice noodles.
Are those good? Rice noodles?
Rice noodles are actually really good.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Are those the same thing as those magic noodles or something like that? Like
magic.
Shit. It's some kind of like, I think it's like a Japanese thing where like it almost has like no calories.
Oh, I don't know.
Fuck is it called? Anyway, that's another
Celery noodles.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you lose weight by eating them.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, rice noodles are pretty good though.
Okay.
You just gotta watch like, just because it's, in order to get a rice into a noodle, there's a lot of processing that happens.
Yeah.
So you kind of you're like, oh, it's just rice and they just smash it together and make a noodle. And then you look on the back and you're like, oh, there's a lot of added, like, whatever, starch or whatever it is to kind of stick it together.
Shirataki noodles. The 0-calorie miracle noodle. That's what it is. Miracle noodle.
So should it be was once rice noodles?
Maybe. I don't know.
Are we really gonna fall? Are we really falling for the 0? Like,
hey, it fits my macros, all right. So
I mean, have they figured out how to, you know, freeze water in the form of noodles without it actually being frozen?
97% water, 3% glucosamine fiber.
Okay, if you can't pronounce it, it comes back to that thing too, where it's just like,
dude, I'm drinking a can of shit I can't pronounce.
Well, that's exactly. But you're just you understand that, and would you be like super surprised in 20 years that they're like, hey, the second ingredient in your diet, you know, Coke, whatever, bang, rain, you know, it's, you know, it made you lose your eyesight. You'd be like, you know,
my eyesight was not good.
It wasn't good to begin with, and you know, it's just like it tasted good. It fit what I needed to do, and you know, you take it just like this pH water, right?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
It tastes really good. It's at Costco. It's easy for me to do. It's great. Same thing with
I have 11 toes.
Right, exactly.
Who fucking cares?
The Fairlife, you know, protein shakes that taste like chocolate milk.
Yes.
There's no way that there's not something in there that is not good for you. I think at this point, most of the people...
Don't you take that one away from me.
No, but I mean, look, I drink them all the time too. So I know I'm accepting, like, look, I know that this is more convenient, so there's probably something that I'm giving away in the process.
Yeah.
But my risk is, you know, out, you know, the risk to reward ratio is tipped in my favor because these things are portable, delicious, and I have to go.
If you have the opportunity to have a tasty pastry with a Fairlife chocolate protein.
Yeah.
Dude, like, talk about like on the road, on the go, you take a bite, take a sip, let them hang out together, and then start chewing it. Dude, I just got hungry thinking about it.
So there's these, have you seen the Honolulu cookies? They're made with like, yeah, those are so good, right?
Yes.
So what I do is I pour into a bowl about a layer of them, and then I pour the Fairlife on top of them. And it's like, Katie kept calling it, my wife kept calling it adult cookie crisp.
Oh, that's an amazing invention.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's so good. They break down because it's macadamia nut, you know, and it's so like a powder, I think, or flour. They're not healthy. I'm not saying they're healthy or anything.
Oh, these look good.
They're fantastic, just like the chocolate chip ones. But yeah, dump a Fairlife over top of those. That's probably about as good as it gets as like a dessert that also has 30 grams of protein in it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much protein in this stuff. It's just like, well, Mark says I have to just eat more protein. So
The ultimate protein leveraging.
Yes.
yeah, I'm just gonna have tasty pastries and Fairlife all day long.
All day long.
Have like 6,000 grams of protein. I'll be like John Anderson.
Well, if you're gonna be like John Anderson, you have to accept some of the explosive
Yes.
orange furry shits that are coming out too. So
Yeah.
again, there's always a payment coming one way or the other, like it or not.
Cool. This was fun, guys.
This was great.
This is great.
Best of CT. Thanks for watching, guys. Super Friends season 2's probably over until you hear from CT, and we'll go on from there. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah. Catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.
See ya.